Welcome, everyone. Saturday's Sydney meeting is at Royal Randwick on the lands of the Bidjigal and Gadigal people. We acknowledge them as the traditional owners and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We've got a new lineup to this show moving forward and new roles. Mark Shean returns as our punter's punter. He's now joined by his fellow trackside punter and yard guru, Rob Scurry. Rob's mounting yard mail is winning at 13.2% profit on turnover over the last 12 months. And that's a hell of a lot better than my last 12 months. So if you want to get on board with Rob's stuff, head to themailbag.com.au, download the app, get Rob's mail live from the track each and every Metro meeting.
Thanks, Mark. And you're returning not as a punter, but as a bookie. Recently launched ReadyBet, readybet.com.au. You can download the app, have a look. Pretty big switch, Mark. What inspired it and how's it going so far?
What inspired it? Well, the main thing that inspired it was my fear of getting a real job. It's been over 20 years now that since I had a genuine 9-to-5 office job. My cousin and I, Cameron O'Brien, we're partners in this business. We've been talking about it for a long time. I've worked with bookmakers for a long time, on and off track. We have a lot of bookmakers in our family. And just with the way the industry is changing of late, the door was open for smaller operators, and we're certainly that, smaller Australian-owned operators, to get a foot in the door. Look, we're not going to be competing with Sportsbet or the TAB or any of the giants of the industry, but we're just another avenue for you. We aim to have great service and promos and great content like this, hopefully going forward. So that was what. There was part of that and part of my fear of returning to the real working world. Yes. So Mark, I wasn't there unfortunately, but the word around the traps is that you caught up with the mailbag crew up at the Gold Coast recently and swapped a few stories with Dylan and Jack and the rest of them, including the famous Canberra story involving a plane trip to Canberra for Mark Reid. Is that correct?
Yes, the boys were up there inspecting some yearlings. I was up there on a golf trip with 23 other lunatics and never had a drink while I was up there, of course. So we got over to what's the joint called there, Broadbeach, the Loose Moose, or some name like that anyway. It was certainly Loose Moose at the finish there. But I did relay a story to them. Of course, Mark worked for Mark Reid, and I, in my early 20s, worked for Mark for a few years before he went back to Melbourne. And there was one Sunday where we were at the races on the Saturday, in fact, and Mark said, we're working at Canberra tomorrow. Where else? And, we're working 6 days a week with a lobby and lob a boomerang on the Sunday morning to go to Canberra and work. We thought we were bookmaking, but when we got to boomerang on the Sunday morning, Mark said that he had a horse in and he had us standing in certain parts of where he wanted us to attack the ring and bet. Anyway, we get out to the airport. We don't go commercial, though, because someone might have seen us or, saw the names on the board or wherever. So we're down there on a private jet, lobbed there. Taxis are booked in bodgy names, lobbed at the track. And Mark and I used to go to the races occasionally at the provincials, so particularly Gosford. He used to just ring down and say, I'm going to the races today, get the cards ready, because this was before internet, so every horse was on a card, alphabetical. And we'd often go to the races and I'd bet for him or whatever. He'd do the form going up, I would drive. Anyway, so it didn't look out of place that I was with him in the ring. But the other boys were huddled at the end of the stand, and I think they were found out there by Robbie Waterhouse, or one of his staff actually saw him. And Mark had also ordered an armoured car to pick up the cash for the horse, suspecting that it would win. I think they also did some inquiring about what the armoured car was doing there, and they put together 2 and 2. Anyway, the horse's price went up and it was off the map straight away. Mark and I were running around. We had the rails, the other boys had out the back. There was bookies everywhere in those days, biggest stands you've ever seen in your life. I think I got abused a couple of times for not getting enough on from Mark. I think I averaged, about 3-1, whatever. Anyway, so we go in to watch the race, and all the boys have got their money on. We've tallied all the bets. Mark says, how much do you want on it? Going around, the boys going 1,000. He said, how much do you want? I said, 200. He said, 200? We're getting about $350 a week anyway. I was eating the paint off the wall anyway. He said, have a decent bet anyway. I said, put $350. I was in about $350 a week clear. I said, put the $350 on it anyway. Have a decent bet, he said. Well, he added a few other colourful words there. Anyway, the horses, about 4 in front coming up to the furlong. We're standing on the steps of the front of the stand there. And the bloke's had a peek behind me. He said, don't look behind you, imbecile. Anyway, it's won by about 5 lengths. But as I said, the armoured car was there to pick up the money. I don't know how long we were there counted for, putting it in the van. But it was certainly an interesting day. Anyway, we got out to the airport to come back. There was no Brasco on the plane. We picked up a couple of slabs of beer and then got on our holding pattern coming back. So it was a race to the Brasco when we landed, I can tell you. Anyway, it was a good day.
Oh my God! I wish I'd been at wherever it was in Broadbeach to hear that with a jar in front of me, because that is a classic. And look, they reckon Terry Bailey calls them home sometimes. I mean, ordering an armoured car before the money's even on, if that's not calling him home, I don't know what is. That's a remarkable story. Well told, Mark. I'm sure that will get us some traction when that story comes to light. Thank you very much for that. Anyway, we move on. We moved just a few days back in time. And speaking of travelling to the races in flex mode, as you might call it, what about your mate, Rob, our overlord, Mr. Volandis at Royal Ascot? No one knew he was there, did they? And then next thing you see, there he is in the carriage going down the straight at Ascot. That was a sight to behold, wasn't it?
Well, indeed. I so much more likeable than Prince Andrew, though, and yeah. But yeah, look, he's obviously done really well promoting New South Wales and looking after his constituents, and I think he's just sort of like a microcosm of the world. Everything's sort of looking good on paper, but I think there's a storm coming. But you know how I feel about things like that. But yeah, look, Nature Strip. One of your favourite horses, Mark. I know you don't get excited about horses or rosy-eyed. Like I'm about a benchmark 75 that we'll talk about later. But yeah, Nature Strip. Did you have a bet?
Me? No, I didn't. I didn't back him. I really should have. He met all my criteria really for a bet. But I was really, really rapt to see him put in that sort of performance. I know the race changed complexion as soon as the gates opened because the jockey on the American horse was looking over his shoulder apparently when they let him go, and he's meant to be the fastest horse on the planet, and he was out of play as soon as the gates were open. But look, I know maybe the rest of the sprinters aren't up to much, but Chris Waller's got him there in one piece, and he's done what he's had to do. He's destroyed them really. Run really good time, and good. It's been a while since an Australian's dominated a field like that over there. Look, Black Caviar, who's obviously the best sprinter we've ever seen, she wasn't right on that day, and she's fallen in at 6-1 on that day. So it was good to see an Aussie sprinter get there in one piece and do, run to his best. What did you think, Mark? Did you back him?
No, I didn't. I watched on, but I was, I was glad for Australian racing that he won, and glad that Pete was there to see it all. So at least to be able to claim that trip on his tax now that he's been seen at the meeting there in the carriage. Anyway, great job from to Chris Waller to get him to peak there virtually first up. When most of the times when he runs in Australia first up, he gets beaten by Eduardo. So.
Yeah. Well, really, I mean, recent times out here, it's been grand final day and 1200. We've seen those real big runs. So yes. At age 7, and he's still adding strings to his bow. That's really good to see.
He's a proper champion.
Oh, there's no doubt.
He's a proper champion.
You
can say him and Manicato. And I know Manicato I think he ended up winning up to a mile, and he was running when I was born. But I think he's up there as one of the best we've seen. Best of his at least 10 years, sort of since So You Think or something.
Poor old Manicato was a cripple, though.
Well, Manicato, he had a heart attack age 3 as well. But I think you might have forgotten about Black Caviar there too.
I just later every start waiting for it to break down. So
it's a punting show. You're allowed to have those prejudices.
Well, Bowman's biggest bet was naturalism in '92 when he fell off. So things happen in racing. It's a funny old game. New segment, Redford Express, Blackbookers, some of the best trialers in New South Wales. You can put into your black book, presented by mailbagbloodstock.com.au, where we currently have 3 shares in horses available. One, there might even be more with the way Dicko's going, but there's a Maurice colt, which about the hottest stallion in the country, 2.5% available with Annabelle Nation for $12.70. I reckon that'll go soon. Boss Queen, she trials with Kieran Ma and David Eustace, $16.35 for 2.5% share. Atlantic Way, we reckon this wins a maiden. We reckon it wins a maiden in 2 months. It's only $360 for 2.5% share. Email jono at themailbag.com.au for any more info. Mark, you have 3 horses. We start with Airman, who trialled at Rose Hill on Monday, Heat 5.
Yeah, he's by I'm convinced about a Jolie base, pretty impeccably bred. He was given a pretty easy trial at his prior trial that he was jagged back and was very wide and not knocked about by Willie Pike. But his last trial, again, he was just off the speed, but he got a rails run in the straight. And even though he was pushed out, I really like the way he accelerated over the concluding stages to pick them up and hit the line strongly. He looks a type of horse to me who'll relish getting out to, say, 12 or 1,400 metres in time. But he's in the Chautauqua colours over on the rails in blue with the yellow lightning bolt. And as I said, he had a pretty easy time the first time around. And we'll see him here get a rails run in the straight and pick them up close to the post. So I thought it was a very nice effort and certainly an improvement from his first time out. So he certainly looks one to watch to me out of heat number 5, the first of the trials.
All right, the next is Golden Age, same day, same trainer by the Superstar. Again, I'm Invincible.
Yeah, well, this one is a full brother to Naval Seal, and his races in the Alan Bell colours. His first trial was, it was pretty ordinary. He was buried back on the inside, and maybe he didn't fancy that. But his second trial, Willie bounced him out in front. Admittedly, he did get a slow section in front, but I really liked the way he stretched out over the last 200 metres. He put them to the sword pretty quickly, and he's another one who I think will certainly appreciate getting over a little bit further than the distance of the trial. Looks a big, strong type, very much in the mould of Naval Seal. And as you can see here over the last 200 metres, Pike just gives him a little bit of a dig up and he races away and scores most impressively. So that's a massive improvement from his first trial to his second. And if he goes ahead from that trial, I think he'd be winning probably first up, judging by the way he went there.
Right. And the last one is a David Pfeiffer trained. It's called Wind Chat, and it ran at Hawkesbury Heat 13 on Tuesday. What about this one?
Yeah, this is more for the provincials, I think. He didn't show a great deal of speed on his debut run, or a lot less speed than I thought he would. I thought he'd be up near the lead at Newcastle, but he didn't jump all that well, and then he got badly checked at the 600 metres. But he showed more speed in this trial at Hawkesbury. That's him in the trapeze artist colours, black with the yellow V, and he was right up on the speed here, and he went to the line under a stranglehold. So I think you forgive his first up defeat there at Newcastle, where he met some interference, and I think he's really come on since that. Look at him here over the concluding stages, full of running and under a hold. So watch out for him, probably at the provincials on a Saturday, but I think he's going to win at his next start.
Very good. A few Blackbookers there. Wind Chat, I know, has attracted a lot of attention off that trial. There was a bit of a dispute about the time, I think, on social media of that trial, but certainly no doubt about how impressive he was there. All right, let's get into Saturday. Royal Randwick, currently a soft 6. Well, start with that. Do you think it'll improve, guys, Sydneyites?
Yeah, I think it will. We've had a bit of wind around a sunny day, so I think it'll be a bit better than that, although Canterbury was a bog yesterday, wasn't it, Rob? So, I think Canterbury's probably past its use-by date and certainly in need of some funds from the pox tax. But no doubt the prize money is more important than the racetrack. But anyway, what do you think, Rob?
Look, Canterbury, our best training track, appears not to be. That was, I might have missed a storm, but we've barely had any rain in the east for now 3-4 weeks. So I think tomorrow, you can call it dead on the better side of dead, I'd suggest, in the old. Not that I'm that old, but I think it'll be, it might be upgraded, and most horses who've been running should enjoy it. And it's probably, one of the firmer tracks that a lot of them would have seen for a long time.
Yeah. Canterbury clearly hasn't recovered from that battering it copped in the autumn, when there were metres of rain. It did used to be the best wet weather track in Sydney, and it's just gone to pieces of late, unfortunately. Should at this juncture, of course, mention that the mailbag is powered by Punting Form, the best database in racing, puntingform.com.au. Now, the rail's at 6 metres on Saturday. look, personally, I think that'll bring on paces a bit more into play than it was at the last meeting. Look, to be honest, it was pretty fair last meeting as long as you could get off the fence. Randwick, the much maligned Randwick, has been playing pretty well lately at recent meetings. I suspect it'll just be a touch more on pace because of the 6 metre rail. Any thoughts there, Matt?
Yeah, I'm a little bit the same. 6 metre rail can be, have to be handy basically, but we'll just have to watch a couple of races and see. At least we get a non-event there in the first, a highway to get a free look.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to look at 3 races on Saturday. We start with the 4th, race 4. Just mentioned a bit of self-promotion here. Ready Bet are running a money back for second promotion on the first 3 races at every Australian track every day. I don't know why I'm mentioning that because this is race 4 and therefore doesn't qualify. But my first go at my new role of being the bookie spruiker for myself, reading out the prices for readybet.com.au, and of course I can't find it. All right, here's the market for race 4 from the top. Number 1, Cruel Summer, $11. 2, Huesca, $4.20. 3, Sacramone, $15. 4, Dehorned Unicorn, $7.50. 5, Rebel Shadow, $23. 6, Pokari Kari, $3.80. 7, Barticelli, $17. 8, Royale Return, $31. 9, Bitcoin Baby, $17. 10, What He Goes, $31. And 11, Pretty Wild, $4.80. Mark Shean, do you want to open the bowling here? Get into this.
Look, I like Pokari Kari. I am a little bit worried about that rail position, but she did jump a lot better last start than she did first up, and the jockeying just to drag her back towards the rear of the field. So I'm just wondering where she will get to from barrier number 3 here, hoping she can jump on terms and not be as far back as she was at Gosford. We'll look at the replay here. Nash just jagged her out the back, and she just picked them up and gave them windburn over the final 200 metres. Now, her first 2 runs, first up, she's looked fat and she's won second up both times. And now she goes to a 3rd run into preparation. Look, she's built like an absolute tank, isn't she, Rob?
Yeah.
She's a magnificent filly. And I just think she will keep getting better with racing. I'm just a little concerned about where she will get to in the run, but I'm hoping Kieran has got his thinking cap on, doesn't get too far back here. And I just think she's got a lot of upside in the race. Huesca will probably come across from the outside and take up the running. Look, he did a decent enough job to win the other day, but he did run a lot slower sectionals than the Horned Unicorn on the same day. But I just think she's got more upside for Kari. Rob, what do you think of her as a type?
Yeah, big, strong, masculine filly. I remember seeing her. I think maybe she ran at Warwick Farm first up. Well, anyway, it was a midweeker. And she was certainly in the numbers. And her win the other day at Canterbury, I'm pretty sure it was Canterbury, was very good. I was on Cruel Summer. I've been on Cruel Summer the last 2 starts. And I thought it just looked absolutely. I've got a thing when I send the message, sometimes I say it's got today written on it. And Cruel Summer had today written on it last start and went down a nose with Ash Morgan. I know you've got a tale to tell there in that race too, Marcus. I think you're on the 5 Rebel Shadow. I was
on Rebel Shadow, and to be honest, I was really expecting to see a jockey change. I think T. Schiller might be in the ownership. He rides at every start, but he look. I don't want to sit here and now that I'm a bookmaker, sit here and whinge about bad beats, but hit a horse once and it veers towards the grandstand, straighten it up and then do it again 5 strides later. It wins by a length, doesn't it? If it goes straight. Anyway, that's enough about.
Yeah. Bit of George W. Bush about that. Fool me once, fool me twice.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Mark's. I think she's got the most upside in the race and should be favourite. The trainer, Bryce Hayes, he goes all right, but he doesn't train too many winners. So a big bet at this price range might be a bit iffy.
Yeah, I think the price is fair. I mean, that was a dynamic win last start. I think she's probably the best horse in the race. I'm just a little bit scared of whether she jumps and therefore the map. If she's back and buried from gate 3 on the 6 metre rail, that could be what brings her undone. I think she's a better horse than Huesca, but Huesca's going to he won't have to do much right, the run he's going to get. He just has to turn up and do what he does. Pokari Kari is going to need a couple of breaks to go her way, but I do think she's the best horse in the race, and I think the price is fair enough to find out. So now, sorry.
One more thing in this race. There's a jockey here I've never heard of. Brandon Lorena. Who's that? Where's he from?
He's from South Africa or somewhere over there. He, Bjorn, he's been riding the provincials for Bjorn Baker for a couple of years, I think. Doesn't come to town very often.
Okay. Bit like Ash Morgan. He's as well. Doesn't come to town very often.
No, that's correct. Anyway, we'll move on to the second race we're going to look at, which is race 7, which is the ACY Securities Benchmark 88. And I'll quickly run through the prices for you. Big field. Should have planned this better. Anyway, we've got from the top, Bethencourt 550, Wairiri Falls 15, Moran 26, Knight of Power 14, Thorin 101, Francesco Guardi 6, Borna King 550, Milkman 101, Solar Apex 5, Le Chevalier 750, Majorati 11, Phillipsburg 16, and the emergencies Mr. G 31, Avion Fury 101, and Flexible 10. Mark, again, we hand over to you.
Yeah, I just wonder where Born to be King or Born a King will get to here. This is a very short run to the first turn from the 1800. I know there's a few emergencies and he will come in 3, but he was on the fence there at Rose Hill last week where it was, lengths and lengths better, and he was heavily back because of that. So just wondering where he get to in the run there. Look, I've found Solar Apex here. Look, he can be a little bit inconsistent, but he's not very big. And I like the fact that they've taken the claim here. And he did come out of that race where they absolutely walked. Surf Dancer got a picnic in front. Skyman was the other one who came out of this race and absolutely bolted in. He was at the back with Solar Apex at the top of the straight. And you can see Solar Apex working through in the middle there with the black sleeves. And he and Skyman were the two closing runs from the back of the field where the tempo was against them. And I thought he ran a great race here. So I just think he got too far back in that race. He's drawn a lot better. I'm hoping that Reece Jones is riding particularly well at the moment. Can put him up a little bit closer in the run. He was a winner a couple of starts ago, first up. In fact, cost me a fortune and beat elusive Jewel at Cosford. So I'm trying to get square on him. So I think he should get a good run in the race. Francesco Guardi was a good win at Doomben the other day. He's probably got a chance in the race. And Borna King just drawn a little bit awkwardly for me, and I'm not sure where Bethencourt will get to as well here. I'm not sure if he's just a mile or he's stepping up to 1,800 metres. I don't know if that's being a little bit pedantic, but I thought his best form was probably around the mile mark. What did you think, boys?
Personally, I thought, there's a few chances in it, but I thought the two that looked to map well, assuming they jump, Solar Apex has got to jump, otherwise it's in stripe. But assuming he does, I think both he and Francesco Guardi are the ones that are going to get good trailing runs in the first half of the field, and I think they look like the two hardest to beat. Borna King had, as you touched on, Mark, every possible favour last start, but it ran a much, much better time than the stronger grade race on the day. So I think there was merit in it, but the map just looks diabolical, and we know from that gate, I think plan A will just be to go straight back and hope, which could make life difficult for him. Any favourites for you, Rob?
Look, I agree with you guys that you've tipped 3 Waller runners. Waller won 6 of the 8 available races to him last week, so we're probably on the right track. One of the three is going to win. Solar Apex is a lovely walker. Whether he's found his grade or he's a bit better than that, but he's a really sweet mover. I wouldn't throw out a shout out to Jono, our Bloodstock man. I think his old man's in Wairiri Falls, so there's another Waller runner, which I'm sure will parade very, very well again. But yeah, I think one of the Waller runners will win.
Yes, we'll take a box first 4 with those then. How about that? That's the way
yes, something like that. But yeah, Solar, if it might be one for in-play punters on Betfair. Solar Apex jump, maybe take SP or a little bit under. Yep,
agree with that. All right, we've got one more to cover. It's the last. This is another big field, of course. It's the Elite Sand and Soil, great supporters of racing, benchmark 78. And from the top, we have King's Air at 650, Capo Royal 16, Mananui 26. Jojo was a man into 480 now. Was a bit bigger earlier. 4 Valis 7, Pandano 19, From the Bush 16, Sinbar 360, Dynamic Impact 31, Imrahor 31. We've got a scratching there as well. Prince Aurelius 71, Ready to Humble 15, Nitride 21, Mad as There Is 51, and Beaufort Park 18. A couple more come out there from that graphic you see on the screen at the moment, but those prices are pretty right. Now, I know, Rob, you're going to have something to say about a few of these horses, but again, Mark, we'll start with you.
Yeah, well, I think the dirty bookies have got it right here. Sinbar and Jojo, the man, do look to be the two to beat. Look, I was on Jojo the other day at the good odds, but I have switched here. I think Sinbar is a very promising horse, and the fact that he's getting on drier ground now, particularly off that win at Doomben last start, where he was able to race a little bit closer than he has previously. Normally a horse who does seem to drop out. Look at him here. He does get the charm run up on the fence, but boy, oh boy, the last 200 metres, he really put him away. And he's brought him back to Sydney, and he could be just on the up, this horse. He's a magnificent type, as Rob will tell us in a moment. I think he and Jojo stand head and shoulders above this field, and hopefully it's not too much on speed, and horses get their chance from at least midfield back in the field. And I think Sinbar is certainly the way to go. If the track's playing a little bit on pace, I think Jojo's doing a lot better to sit up. So you just have to adapt to how the track is playing. Hopefully with a fair deck, and if that's the case, I think Sinbar the one to beat.
There certainly are. King Shear owes us about 20 units. It even knocked off that Waller thing the other day when I went against it. But Sinbar, if I could own a 3-year-old and over, it would be Sinbar. I thought this horse was a live chance in a race like the Rosehill Guineas. I thought he'd be one of the best sort of middle distance stayers. It was a real smoky, but he just hit wet tracks. I didn't even know he was running until Mark Shean told me he was at Doomben the other day when I was at Canterbury. Of course, Curly was all over it, and it just bolted in. Jojo is the man. I think I really love him. I love the trainer. He's parading super. I think he's a proper Saturday winter welter type horse, and 1400 might suit him a little bit better than Sinbar. So I've gone with a bit of flair for my bet this week as a box exacta, 4 and 8. Jojo is the man in Sinbar in an 18 horse field, but I couldn't find much else in the card, and that's my bet.
Never even gave me a sling, Mark. Like I told him it was in at Doomben, it was well fancied, and he didn't even know it was in. It's bolted in. He never even get nothing in the pocket, nothing. Just brushed me.
We're talking about the same bloke, Ben.
Oh, look, it was evens. You know, I'm uncomfortable. I didn't have enough
Evens.
on. It was evens. Maybe it was a late drift, 250, but I was driving back from Canterbury. I didn't get enough on.
Get enough on. Anyway, okay, all right. And yes, you are the king of the box exacta, Rob. So I'm very glad for this debut of Victims Mark II or Volume 2 that you've opened up with one of them. And Mark, your best for the day?
Look, I've seen Sinbar. If the track's fair, I think he's the way to go. But look, obviously, all our tips here are horses that probably get off the speed. So you're going to just have to monitor how the track plays throughout the day. I think if Pakari Kari can take up a position also, she'll be very hard to beat. But Sinbar the best of the day if they can run.
Yeah. I'm probably with Pakari Kari with those caveats that we'll need a couple of things to go right, but I think she's a pretty smart horse. So I think that brings to an end our first crack at Victims of the Punt v 2.0. Thank you very much, Rob, and thank you very much, Mark, for your time and your insights and your stories. Thanks to thanks to me, thanks to ReadyBet, thanks to puntingform.com.au, and thanks to Mailbag Bloodstock as well for bringing this show to you. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.